Dear students, dear guests, welcome to our course, Global Challenges to Development, Zero Hunger. This course is dedicated to the second United Nations Sustainable Development Goal by 2030, End Hunger, achieve food security and improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. The SDGs are a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and in the future, in an urgent call for action by all countries, developed and developing, in a global partnership. The goal of achieving zero hunger involves the transformation of food systems and improvements in diet, nutrition, health, and hygiene. In this course, we will provide an overview of the key issues related to achieving this goal, including the causes of hunger and malnutrition, alternatives for increasing agricultural productivity and smallholder farmers' incomes, sustainable food production systems, and resilient agricultural practices, strategies for maintaining genetic diversity of seeds, and the integration of traditional knowledge. This course brings together students and faculty from different countries and disciplines in an effort to promote cooperation and peace across borders. It is part of the Global Awareness Education transdisciplinary course program at the University of Tübingen, Germany, as a free extension course at the State University of Maringá, and as an additional course at the Liberating Education Organization in Germany and Kenya. The course organizers are me, Glaucia Peres da Silva, University of Tübingen, Maurício Reinert, Sara Picheth, and Luísa Millan Rupp, and Claudia Sato on behalf of the State University of Maringá, and Matteo Scherer from Liberating Education Organization. Today we have the pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Helina Bekele from Makerere University in Uganda. Helina Bekele is a PhD candidate at the School of Women and Gender Studies at Makerere University in Uganda, supported by a Gerda Henkel Scholarship. She holds a BA in Business Education and an MA in Gender Studies, both from Addis Ababa University, Ethiopia. Originally from Ethiopia, Helina is affiliated with the Department of Gender and Development Studies at Haramaya University. She has participated in various gender-focused courses and research trainings at the national and international levels to enhance her expertise in gender mainstreaming. Her main research interests focus on women's empowerment. So we are very glad to have you here, Helina. So now the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Glaucia. And I want to say hello for everyone who is participating in this session. As Dr. Glaucia introduced me, I'm called Helina Bekele from Ethiopia. I'm affiliated to Makerere University in Uganda. I am working, my PhD project is focusing on state and non-state actors collaboration in empowering women farmers in Ethiopia. Today, I am going to present you one of my findings, and I entitled it like this, the way you see it, Consented Poverty, the impact of polygamous marriage on women farmers' productivity and the overall household's well-being in the case of Ethiopia. So you may be asking how people or individuals consented for a poverty, but you can expect the unexpected when it comes to culture. Culture is very dynamic and diverse. So because in a given culture, individuals have, especially in Africa, should have a collective identity. So in that process, people may do different things. So I'm going to take you to Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, and show you how cultural norms, traditions affect food insecurity. So as a brainstorming activity, I want to ask you, what is food security? I hope in your previous sessions, maybe you have been discussing about food security, food insecurity. So what is food security? You can explain in comparison with food security as you wish, but I want to see your understanding of food insecurity, because we are talking about global South nations and their status in terms of food insecurity. So I want to know also your understanding about global South nations and their characteristics. And the third question is, what is, actually indirectly I mentioned it, what is the status of global South countries in terms of food security? If your opinion is they are secured, what do you think? If you think they are insecure, what do you think is or are the reason and the reasons? So these are my brainstorming questions before I bump into the topic. So maybe 5 minutes, you can reflect on this. Yeah, these are my brainstorming questions. So what do you think is food insecurity? When do we call individuals they are food insecure? What are the manifestations of, indirectly, what are the manifestations of food insecurity? Thank you very much. Okay, so it's because of global trade, food exports, the local demand in the country may not be satisfied. Maybe before satisfying the local demand, the tendency of exporting food can cause food insecurity at national or local level. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is a good submission. Some incidents like COVID created food insecurity. Even I mentioned it in one of my slides. Even if you have money, during COVID time, people were not able to get, or we were not able to access food. So even if we have resources, we were stuck and we were exposed for mild kind of food insecurity. Okay, according to FAO, definition of food insecurity, a person becomes food insecure when they lack regular access to enough, safe, and nutritious food for normal growth and development in an active and healthy life. See, according to FAO's definition, there is very key points here. Regular access. You see, when we say individuals are food secure, it must be what? Regularly. There must not be like fluctuation. Like in the case of Africa, during harvest time, production is too much. So you can feel like what? There is no hunger. It can't be hunger in Africa. But the problem maybe in the next season, because most of the time our agricultural activity is depending on rain-fed agriculture, it depends on what? The weather. So maybe in the next season, we may be what? Exposed for what? Hunger. So the definition for food insecurity must be what? Any individuals who are who have lack of regular access to enough. Okay, enough is also what? Subjective. Enough and safe and nutritious food for normal growth and development and an active and healthy life. So we have to also put in mind the content of the food, nutritious food, and also what? Safe food. Maybe because of preparation, food may lose its nutritious content. Maybe the way we keep food, food may become what? Poisonous. But to say certain individuals are, in terms of food, they are insecure when they are faced a challenge of what? Access to regular food, regular and enough, safe and nutritious food, we call them, they are insecure in terms of what? Food. Again, FAO tried to present food measures in terms of what? Food insecurity experience scale. So they put food insecurity from mild food insecurity up to what? Severe food insecurity. So there is in between moderate kinds of what? Food insecurity. So what is mild food insecurity? Maybe for the time being, the production is good. Maybe it is harvest season. You have for today what you have already secured your daily, the present what? Food consumption. But you are not for sure for what? For tomorrow, maybe for the near future. So in that kind of case, individuals or communities or societies, we can call them what? They are exposed for what? mild kind of what? Food insecurity. But at present, they are what? They have what to eat. Maybe in terms of quality, in terms of quantity, they have what to eat. But they are not very sure about what in the near future, what to eat. So mostly, especially when you are not using technology in your production, you may have such kind of what? Food insecurities, because especially in the era of climate change, climate variability is what? Very rampant. So we may not be sure whether we can get rain in the next rainy season on time. So any delay or even before the time when rain comes, it has destruction, especially for Africans. So that kind of insecurity, we call it mild. FAO presented it as mild insecurity. I put it in a green, light green, so that to show at present their food access is what secured, but tomorrow is not secured. That's why I put it in light green. And the next one is what? Moderate food insecurity. For such kind of societies, are compromising food quality, variety, and reducing food quality, even skipping meals, okay, because of different kinds of what? Production shortage, and also what? Resources that, especially financial resources scarcity. People most of the time compromise food qualities. Every day, on daily basis, they may take the same kind of food. Maybe you may remember from your biology classes, I don't know in which level of your class, depending on your countries, nutritious food at least should have, nutritious food, it should have 6 components of food. But if we are taking the same kind of food every day, so that means we are taking only one type of what? Food. So our body exposed for what? For malnourishment. And people also, by the way, they can what? Like in Africa, most of the time, the tradition of food taking is what? Thrice in a day. So because of scarcity of what? Food, or maybe financial access to buy food, people may skip meals. Maybe they take breakfast, maybe they skip what? Lunch, maybe they skip supper. So that's because body can use to what? The schedule of our eating. So when we are what? Disturbing that, our body start to be what? Starved. So that kind of food insecurity is moderate food insecurity according to FAO. And there is also severe kind of food insecurity, that is when individuals they can't secure food for today and for a day and what? More. Okay? When they are not in a position to secure. That is severe or chronic kinds of what? Food insecurity. So FAO tried to measure food insecurity in this food insecurity experience scales. So different countries may fall on this scale. So having saying this, now we are going to move to the next slide, that is food security dimension. Again, according to FAO, when we say communities or societies have secured their food access, we are talking about what? Availability. Supply must be what? Constant. Regularity, I mentioned before. Access has to be what? Regular. Okay, there must not be what? Fluctuation. One time what? Good harvest, good food access. Next time, less access. That also causes what? Food insecurity. So when we talk about availability, we are talking about supply. We are talking about food production materials. Availability of what? Food, especially for farmers, their productivity directly related with what? With their access to land, their access to what? Different agricultural inputs, fertilizer, better seeds, all that. And also what? Access to what? Modern technologies, especially like how to do irrigations, how to use fertilizers, all that. They need what? Information access as well as input access. So if these things disturb, according to WFP, World Food Programs, 2009, availability is expressed like this. Access to what? Supply or production of food materials. Access to this makes productivity available. And when production, by the way, there must be always equilibrium, access and what? Supply and demand. If supply is what? Surplus, maybe demand actually, everyone want to have what? At least three times a day to access food, even more, it depends on the culture of the communities. So there must be supply. That supply must be matched with what? With the demand, with the number of population who is demanding that food. So if there is mismatch, especially if there is scarcity, mismatch in terms of scarcity, it causes also what? Food insecurity. The other one is what? Accessibility, which relates with affordability. Okay, these days, especially, I can say food price become increasing worldwide. So affordability also is another challenge for cause for food insecurity. Price inflates because of different factors, because of related to weather, related to what? Foreign exchange and so on. There are lots of factors actually for that, but it is cumulative effect is what? It creates what? Food insecurity. The other one is what? In terms of food security dimension, the other point is what? Utilization, okay? How are we using, how are we consuming the food? Starting from what? The preparation, okay? I tried to mention these issues before. The way we cook it, okay? Yes, we have food, but the way we take it, maybe we may overcook it, till it denature, okay, till it lose all its nutrients inside the food. So that's also what causes what? Food insecurity, okay? So this is also one area of for intervention, because people should know how to prepare, okay? They may how to prepare very delicious food, but they have to be very mindful about it is nutritious content, because some foods are what? Very volatile in boiling, by the way. It can lose very easily. Even some of them, even when we expose them to what? For too much sunshine, some nutrients can die out. So we have to think about not only preparation, not only production, after production, even post-harvest management also can cause nutrient loss from the food. So we have to mindful, and we have to teach farmers, especially, how to keep food after harvesting, and how to prepare and how to consume nutritious food. The other one is stability. Stability, it assumes food supply, income, and economic resources, especially when we talk about stability, food supply. Now, most of the time, because of the market nature, when they feel there is a scarcity in the future, markets, because most of the time the main intention of markets is what? Maximizing profits. So they may keep their stock. So they may that kind of scarcity also can create food insecurity. So government has to come in, and they have to make different kinds of control. Maybe it depends on the economic system a certain country follows, but I think people's well-being must be secured. So this kind of thing must be put into consideration. In terms of stability, what Arthur mentioned also is also one of the cases during COVID time. Actually, when we talk about inflation, after COVID, actually, all food prices have increased, by the way. So that can cause what, especially low-income earners can be affected by such kind of scenarios. So government has to, actually, it's not only government, international agents that has concern on food security, they should come forward and what, look for solution. But one of the solution can be what, subsidizing agricultural inputs, because the way I know in Ethiopia, agricultural, fertilizers prices are really increasing, or on the verge of continuous increasing. So subsidizing those inputs to stabilize the access, food access, because if you don't have resource, you will not have what, output. So so that food access to be regular, production must be also what? On continuous basis must be there. So we can facilitate that by subsidizing especially smallholder farmers. I'm talking about smallholder farmers who are producing on very small land and using traditional technologies. So they need that kind of support from the government. Okay, when we discuss about the ground of food security in SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, Goal 1 and 2 directly related with Sustainable Development Goal, because Goal 1 is all about end poverty, and it's end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Okay, actually poverty has different forms. The poverty nature of rural people and urban people is different. The cause is different, the impact is also different. And also there is a kind of like absolute kind of poverty, individuals who do not have access to what basic needs for survival, like food, clean water, shelter, and health care. So the impact of this absolute poverty is what? Malnutrition. Normally, people become malnourished. They will be exposed for hunger. They exposed for different kinds of disease because of deficiency of nutrients. And at the end, people's life expectancy will be very short. So when we talk about also urban poverty, its manifestation is different from rural areas. Most of the time, urban poverty is associated with what? With slum kind of, living in slum areas. In slum areas, access to infrastructures are very limited, security is very limited. So there is also a danger. So such kind of people who are in such kind of poverty also exposed for what? Food security. The second goal of SDG is ending hunger and achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. So these two goals really, countries, countries, if they achieve these two goals, definitely they will achieve food security. So if a country in what? Hunger, if the country achieve food security, that means they are improving their nutrition, and it is embedded on what? All this is embedded on what? On sustainable agriculture, sustainable. So it is we have to mark also here the word sustainable, regular. I remember in Ethiopia, one time we had boom of production everywhere, even because the supply was too much, even farmers start what? Losing, because the food price dropped drastically. So actually for that also there is economic intervention, but here I want to say that like one time like scarcity, production is very low, next time is high. That's not a nature of food security. So it must be a regular kind of what grows to ensure food insecurity in countries. Okay, that is international framework. Africa also, we have our own regional intervention for food insecurity. In Africa, there is a document called the Africa We Want, Agenda 2023. This framework targeted to transform each and every nation in Africa to be competitive, prosperous, and united by the year 2063. So this agenda with regard to food security is what? It suggests different strategies to tame food insecurity in Africa. The first strategy is what? Agricultural transformation and food security, making transformation in agriculture, especially in productivity. So that to achieve what? Food insecurity. Modernizing agriculture, not to be dependent on nature, especially on rain. Mechanization, it's a kind of mechanization, using irrigation, using technologies, all that to improve. The target is to improve productivity and achieve food security, because development has direct relationship with what? With food security. Okay, when we achieve food security, children can grow well with better thinking, with better IQ, so they can think better, they can think critically. So it has direct relationship. So this agenda, the aim of this agenda is what? To transform Africans' life through what? Through achieving food security. The other one is, the next strategy is what? Sustainable use of natural resources, water and so on, what I listed there. And also by promoting inter-African trades and regional collaboration. You see now, there is some African countries, they are really gifted with natural resources. They have a lot of production. When we go to another, especially sub-Saharan African, it is desert, much of it. So there is deficit. So try to create what? Balance. Okay, just moving from surplus to what? To deficit areas, and create what? That food insecurity gaps. So this agenda has aim of what? Ending hunger by 2025 by doubling agricultural productivity and reducing by half post-harvest losses and increasing food access for vulnerable population. So this is a strategy. And also we have two more strategies. Next slide, please. Engaging youth and women in agricultural entrepreneurship and innovations. Okay, that means giving access to what? Technologies, especially the disadvantaged gender, which is women. So by working on these groups, the agenda is what aiming to ensure food security in Ethiopia. I mean, in all over Africa. The last one is what? Resilience to shocks, especially droughts, floods, and conflict. With regards to drought and floods, like thinking ahead, like for example, in a certain part of Ethiopia, there is a recurrent kind of what? Flood. So being prepared or moving those people to what? To very stable areas. So people, countries are really given that chance to think about it and what? To transform the problem. So this is the general strategy, so that each country to take their own assignment to work on it and ensure food security for what? For their population. Okay, now because I'm talking about Ethiopia, so I want also to discuss about the Ethiopian strategy for food security. One of the strategy is what? Agricultural transformation. Actually, the Ethiopian food security plan is in line with Sustainable Development Goal and the regional plan of the Agenda 2023 of the Africa we want. So somehow it is similar, the strategies. So the first one is what? Agricultural transformation, that is maximizing the use of what? Irrigation, mechanization, and use of what? Improved seeds and fertilizers through different kinds of what? Technologies, organizing the farmers through cooperatives and facilitate their access, especially for better seeds and fertilizers. The other one is food security program. For example, there are really vulnerable group of people who are living in arid and semi-arid areas, and their livelihood is also still depend on agriculture. So for them to provide food at the time of when their vulnerability become high, and when they become not to produce, maybe because the rain was not there totally in that season. So it's food distribution and what? Cash transfer, so that they can what? Cope up the challenge. The other point is what? Nutrition initiatives, like in Ethiopia, I think in 2019, 2018, they introduced school feeding programs. Actually, in pastoralist area, it was even before that school feeding programs with different projects was there. But nationwide, in 2020, there was a launch of what? School feeding and community-based health and nutrition program, like, through health extension. Under Ministry of Health, there was a campaign to teach the community about nutritious food, about malnutrition, how to prepare nutritious food. All those initiatives was there. The other point is what? Climate adaptation and what? Resilience. Okay? Climate adaptation and resilience, like there was a campaign for under the Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. There was every summer, every rainy season, there was a campaign nationwide planting trees. Actually, that is related with the dam, but it was also to ensure what? Favorable kind of environment for agricultural activities. So greening overall Ethiopia, that was part of climate adaptation and resilience. And also the activity was also focusing on restoring degraded lands so that it becomes fertile and increase community, so that community increase their productivities. The other point is youth and gender empowerment. Related to this, there was programs that targets to increase the productivity of women through different access to resources. One of the resources like organizing them in microcredit and access them to income so that they can buy different inputs and improve their productivities. And also there was an initiative of under Ministry of Agriculture. There is an office called Emergency Response and Risk Management. Before it happens, there was awareness creation activities for the farmers about climate change, how to cope up, and to prepare themselves. The weather is not the same. It is not the way it used to be. So what to be done? So sensitizing them, like to make them ready for what something is changing, and to follow up that change and do the necessary steps and make them what to be part of in different programs. There was awareness creation under these programs, and also disaster risk activities like afforestation is also one of this initiative. Building terrace was one of initiative to protect, to minimize the effect of risk. The other point is what? Policy for market access and trade, especially in infrastructure development. It is connected by like tarmac road so that farmers can sell their product with better price, so that the buyers to go to to their farm and to buy them from the farm, all those things, and also access to what? Mobile phone, sensitizing them also about the mobile phone so that they can follow up price change, and they also adjust so that they can adjust and not to incur loss, because when the farmers lose, definitely it has an impact on what? On food security. So just protecting the well-being of what? Farmers, so that they can be what? Continuously in production, so that they can maintain the food security of what? The nations. So this is the plan of, I try to mention like international, regional, and national machineries, strategies of food insecurity. So now we are talking about, because our focus is still Global South. Ethiopia is in that package of Global South. So countries are broadly divided into Global South and Global North. So countries like Sub-Saharan African, Southeast Asian, Latin Americans, and part of Middle East, they fall under the category of what? Global South. So the major characteristics of these countries, according to Ahmed and his friends, it's the economic factor for this categorization. The main reason is what? Economic factor. So in general, in Global South, nations have low GDP per capita income, and most of them, they rely on what? Agriculture as a source of, as a major source of income, or they depend on what? On natural resources, and they have small scale of industrializations. So global South countries, they export agricultural products and they also import processed and ready for use. Like for example, in Ethiopia, we export coffee, we export different agricultural products, hide and skin, blah, blah. Then in return, we get like Nescafe processed, you see. So the money we are getting from that, it will reduce because when value is added on a certain input on a certain product, the value, monetary value, definitely will increase. So the nations of global South, they are major exporter of raw agriculture products. And there is also what social indicators that, like in global South in general, there is low access to education and health care. Actually, this one related with population, because there is huge population. There is a lot of productive age young age compared to like adults, and who is in productivity. Okay, the number of, when we compare the number of people who are really engaged in skilled and money-making kind of business, when you compare that, the dependent number is too much in global South. There is also relatively inadequate infrastructure in global South, like transportation, energy, and communication networks. So demographically, there is high population growth rates, and there is high younger population, which is dependent. So generally, this is the characteristics of global South nations. What is the cause of food insecurity for global South countries? Again, Ahmed and his friends of 2021 listed out like climate changes. It takes a major reason for food insecurity in global South. Actually, there is also a debate here, like who is causing climate change and who is paying the burden, you see, because it's all about carbon emission. So in the industrialized countries are the one who is causing that, but who is paying that burden is countries in global size. So that kind of issue, so compensating, there is issues. There is also conflict and political instability in global South, which affects agriculture and productivity. And also the issue of governance, like how decision-making processes takes place, the structure, and the institution also. Is the society has a say about what they want, when they want, all that. So governance issue in development, governance issues in politics, all that causes what? Food insecurity one way or another. The other point is what? Population growth. As I said before, the younger population is too much, birth rate is too high. So that cause also, because there is mismatch between the arable land, the land which can what? Which can produce, which can be productive, and the number of population. There is mismatch. So without ensuring I am feeding my children, if I continue producing, I am exposing them for food insecurity. The other point is what? Urbanization. Urbanization can happen because of two reasons. One is what? It's a government development project. Like, for example, in Ethiopia, the capital Addis Ababa is what? Expanding. So the suburb, which is really agricultural, is what? It's becoming now what? Part of what? The town, urban area. So these are, maybe they may not see it in the short run, but it is affecting what? The food security of what? A country. That urbanization also, because of expansion of cities, also can affect individuals' life. At micro level, we can see its impact, because those farmers which are displaced from that areas, they should also go to another place and what? start again their life. So displacement, by the way, it can affect, it is a shock for farmers, and most of the time they need time and they need also support. So when we leave them like that, it is also another challenge, and it exposes what? Their productivity level. So the other point is what? Urbanization, because farmers are traveling from rural areas to urban areas because of pushing and pulling factor. Like pushing factor, climate change is one of the pushing factor. Like by the time they see environment is changing and it is not the way it was giving them, so they decide to stop their activities from their settings, and they flee to what? To urban areas. And also industrialization in the urban areas also attracting them. They may feel like they can get better life. So they may sell their land, or they may leave that land for their wives, and they go to what? Urban areas. So these are the causes. And the last one, financialization of food. Okay, like taking food as a source of income. So it makes it very expensive. It makes it very expensive. So especially now in Europe, you can say also, you can mention your experience, like those of very healthy food, those of organic food. I think they're, with my few encounter in Europe, I have seen that those foods, those organic foods, are expensive, and which is healthy. So people may tend to what? To go to that modified food, because as we were told, those food in the long run may cause what? Some problems. So it is a business, it is an activity also, and like the focus, like if it is not like well-being of communities, it can be cause of what? It can be cause for food insecurity, especially in terms of nutritious aspect, because it's not only about quantity, it is also about what? Quality. So far, I am just, my explanation was focusing on technological aspect of food insecurity, natural aspect of food security. But now with my research, that is a preamble actually. My main focus with my research is what? The cultural aspects or religious practice as a source of what? Food insecurities. Yes, we may have very good environment, we can produce, but in somehow, if the culture affects the way of taking proper food, we can expose it for what? For food insecurity. So what's culture? And also, what is the impact of culture in individuals' life? Okay. So culture is a very complex whole, which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, customs, religion, what have you. The list can go, by the way. And which determine the everyday activities of human beings in a given society. That is culture. Okay, it determines the capabilities, the habits. As a member of the society, individuals are subjected. I mean, individuals are expected to abide with their cultural norms. So culture is everything, actually. What we eat, the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we think, it shapes. Okay, it shapes everything of us. So culture, it plays a profound and multifaceted role in what? Shaping individuals' life, especially in Africa. It gives us identity. It gives us belief, behaviors, and what? Social interactions. So because of cultural differences, culture is what's very diverse. Even within a certain nation, within a given nation, different ethnic groups may have their own what? Culture. So when we talk about culture, African culture, for example, we can mention Ubuntu. Yeah, like Ubuntu, it's an African philosophy. It is South African South Africans got the chance actually to publicize about Ubuntu, but in practice, almost all Africans has that nature of what? Ubuntu. So what does it mean, Ubuntu? That from the picture as you see, it explains what? Togetherness. Like living together. It has a meaning of I am because we are. That means for everything, for achievement, what I have today, there is behind big support in every stage of what? Our life. Maybe in Europe, you can explain your experience. After up to certain age, you may get whatever kind of support we want from your family, from your community. But maybe after you reach like that full age, then that support may be what? Less. The way we see on movies, and the way we hear, and the way we read. But in Africa, in every stage of your life, you have what? That support. Even if you are an adult, you have very strong what? Social network. There is what? Collective thinking. There is what? Collective thinking. There is community-centered kind of identity. So that individual kind of life is what? It's very less. Every individual belongs to what? A certain ethnic or clans or families, and all the behavior will be shaped by the norms of those ethnic groups. So the way we adapt, the way we are responding to challenge, it is in a group. Okay, it's not only my problem. The community will share my problem, personal problem, family problem, financial problem, what have you. There is a system. You see, shocks. There are different kinds of shocks, like environmental, financial, all that, sickness personally, like all that kind of problems we share. Africans share that kind of problem. So oral tradition has very big roles. Proverbs, because community keep their values in the proverbs, in the folktales, in songs. So it passed through the generations, and community preserve all those things and pass to the next generation those social norms. So when we come to like human rights, or especially women's rights, because of that collective thinking, because that individual thinking is what? Very less, because especially like as a married woman, I may not give priority for my personal interest. So I may give up on my personal interest, and I can like sacrifice for the overall family, for my family's wish for me, all that. So it can have challenge, but in terms of many aspects, Africans continue as a community because of their culture, yet because of now modernization, because life was not the way it used to be. So somehow, especially activists challenging that kind of collective thinking, losing personal identity. It is also some spot for discussion, but what I want to say at this point is what culture has a big space in individual lives in Africa, and it determines much of everyday, even daily activities. Okay, this is a preamble for my research finding. This is the map of Ethiopia, and I'm focusing my study on ethnic group called Oromo. As you see, the green color is representing all Oromo places that Oromo people lives. They cover a bigger space because they are one of the big ethnic group in Ethiopia. And I'm focusing on that pink spot, which is Meta district. It's called Meta district, the pink that you can see. In that district, I am focusing my study on two farmer associations. Farmer association is the grassroots level structure of the district is farmer association. So I'm basing my research on two farmer associations. Oromo people in my study area in that district, ethnically they are Oromo, and predominantly they are Muslim. in research, it is very difficult to say all of, but if I am given freedom to say that, I can say all of them are what? Muslim. Culture has a bigger role in these people in every part of their life. Culture plays very prominent roles, and they are agriculturalists. They base their agriculture activity, as the rest of African, on rainwater, and because they have cash crop also, they have irrigation. They are producing food crops and cash crops, especially coffee. From that area, there is a specific kind of coffee which is really favorable by most of Ethiopians. And they also produce livestock, like small animals, because much of the area is semi-arid. So they are keeping mostly small animals like goats and sheep, because their food also has milk components. They also keep very few cows for milk, for their milk consumption, and they also fatten oxen, very few, because it's arid. They don't have grass, so there is what cut and feed kind of, with cut and feed kind of strategy. They also fatten ox and provide for the market. So when you talk about East Hararghe or Harari people, East Hararghe livelihood, you can come up even on website about their coffee, about their very favorable kind of meat they have, because particularly in that part of Ethiopia, they don't use their ox for farming. So just they fatten and sell it. So the meat is very delicious and soft. So that is their means of livelihood. So my study focused on two farmer associations, as I mentioned. Traditionally, it is called Ifa Jalela and Hawibili Suma farmer associations. My research embedded mixed design strategy to investigate my research objectives, and I employed 370 research participants in my survey, and I had 38 qualitative study, 25 in-depth interview, 3 in focus group discussion, and 10 in key interview informants. As I mentioned before, my research sample also match with my claim before. They are predominantly Muslim, the way you see here also on my sample. 98.9% of the respondents are Muslim, but only some few settlers, because of this climate change, because of the government project. Some farmers from northern Ethiopia, Christians, they are also settlers there. So those are Christians, but the rest, the native people, are Muslim. So for this community, marriage and having many children is prestigious. It's very prestigious. A young girl and a boy leave their house, by the way, because of marriage. When they get married, that's when they leave their house. When we come to when we come into the case of formal education, yes, they also go. When they go also for formal education, they leave their house. But most of them, they leave, because even if they go for education, most of them, they do not exceed primary education because of lack of role model, because of different reasons. So most of them, they leave their house and they start their own life when they get married. So because of their religion, Muslim, the community is what? Polygamous. Why? Because the religion Islam, it allows for a man to go up to what? 4 wives. So depending on that religious background, the community is what? Polygamous. It's polygamous. So by the moment they ensure they have what? Better economic status, they can add second wife, third wife, up to 4 wives. But when we see the attitude of those wives, especially the first wife, it is a biggest nightmare for them. They don't want. Yes, it is part of their religion, but when we see, okay, especially because of my in-depth interview, they can voice, they They could breathe out polygamous family structure is what? It is nightmare. They don't want it because of many factors. The first factor is what? Economic factor, because it creates what? Land fragmentation. As I mentioned before, land is very scarce resource in the study areas. So from that land size, they don't want to what? They don't want to reduce. They don't want that land size to be reduced because of what? Additional wife, or because of polygamous family structure. So because of economic factor, which is land fragmentation, they don't want it. Another reason is what? Resource fragmentation, general agricultural resource fragmentation, farm tools, because when the husband arrange another family, they can take most of what they can share. They share those resources. Share means if they have two what, like for example, let's say spade, he will take one of it. Okay, yet both husband and wife were what? The one who worked hard and produced, generate all those assets. So when it comes to what polygamous family structure, resources start to what? Fragment, because the husband, it is a patriarchal community. It is what? Men supremacy. In that communities, men is what? Land, especially land belongs to what? A man. At household level, women have access to land, but they don't have ownership, because when they start a family, the husband gets that land from what? From his family. So there is a mentality, still that land belongs to him and his family. So whenever he wants to add another wife, wives, they don't have what? Any saying to say, no, this is my land also, you can't start family over my land. She can't say that. First of all, in the study area, girl children, they don't have what? Rights to inherit farmland from their families. There is an assumption they can access land through their marriage. So family, biological families, they don't give them. Their maiden families, they don't give them what? Land. So the land they access through marriage, they don't have ownership. Okay? On the land they get access. On marriage, they don't have ownership. So that is a challenge. So they can't say no. Directly, they can't say no, because it is not what? It is not their own land. So it creates what? Agricultural productivity reduction. Between the two households, for example, the husband started two families. So there is no cooperation between the co-wives. There is no, because those two wives have their own what? Household, two different family. So there is no what? There is no sharing most of the time. There is no sharing. There is no what? Mobilizing resource, working under the same roof. There is no that kind of mechanisms. But in another part of Ethiopia, co-wives, they cooperate, by the way. They cooperate, they work together, they are working for the same household. But in the case of Eastern Ethiopia, especially in this, in my study area, there is conflict of interest between what? Co-wives, especially depending on what? Resources. So always there is what? Pushing and fighting over what? Resources. So the same study is what? Identified in Ghana. Productivity reduced because of what? Because of polygamous family kind of what? Structure. It reduced resources in the household for a woman. Yes, for a husband, yes, it is the same. He has two wives. He has two resources under his name. But for the wife, it is what? That her household, which is holding, is the only resource for her. So it reduced productivity, it reduced the husband labor now, because before he was working under one household, now he has two households. So he is distributing himself over what? Over the number of families he is what? Establishing. So the productivity becomes what? Less and less when we look at it. But there is also different research finding in Tanzania. There is a case, co-wives are what? Very cooperative. Even productivity is what? Increasing, because labor force is what? Increasing. Because the philosophy behind polygamous family structure is different from what? What we are seeing in Ethiopia and what? Ghana, compared to what? Tanzania. Okay, in Tanzania, it is what? Increasing labor force. But in Ethiopia, it is not like that. It's not increasing labor force. It is what? Reducing labor forces. So there is different kind of scenarios depending on what the context. There is different kind of scenarios. But for Ethiopia case, especially for the two farmer association, polygamy is what something that reduce productivity because it reduced every resources. Literally, it reduced every resources at household. Taking verbatim here, the woman's one of woman testimony about polygamy, she said that polygamy is disturbing our agricultural activities in reducing the farmland, the farm tools, draft animals, the money we have in the bank, our husband's labor, and so forth. For example, if we are producing 10 sacks of sorghum before, we would produce half or less. If I have 4 dangora, dangora means agricultural tools, traditional agricultural tool in the study area. If I have 4 dangora, the 2 will go away. You see, so from the woman testimony, you can see that it is a threat. Okay, at house, because those households are what separates. There is no cooperation. There is no what unity. So productivity for that woman will reduce because of what reduction of resources. There is also some there is economic impact, and there is also what psychological impact. Most of the time in the study areas, men go for what? For second wife, third wife, or up to fourth wife, because of maybe men prefer more children, maybe they prefer gender of their children. Maybe if the first wife continuously give birth for girls, maybe they want now a boy, so they want to try it with another woman. So it is what psychologically it is deteriorating for the what? For the first wife. So it's not like something she likes it and encouraging her husband. Rather, it causes what? It demotivates her. It affects her. Most of the time, they go for what? For young girls, younger than what? The first wife. Unless otherwise, it is happening because of what? Wife inheritance. Maybe you don't know the concept. You may not know the concept of wife inheritance. In my study area, there is a practice of wife inheritance. When a certain man dies, his relative, okay, from his relative, he can what? Inherit his wife. So unless otherwise, the polygamous structure happening because of that wife inheritance, most of the time men go for additional wives when they want what? To get what? Young girls as a wife, maybe to try more children, to try different gender, and so on. So it is what? Demotivating for the first wife. So it is not something that encourages them to work hard, rather it makes them lose like hope. The verbatim says here, one of the women testimony reflected that the impact of polygamy on my life is so huge. It took me quite some time to accept and acclimate to the incident. Because I lost motivation for everything, my agricultural practice slipped during those times. So it affects their emotion, it affects their psychology, and the impact of these two also has what? Impact on their productivity. So it has an impact on what? On their food securities. So for women, it is very hard to protest polygamous family structure because it has religion background. As I mentioned before, religion is one of the components of culture. So you have to accept, okay? Because when you are living in a certain culture, you don't have that privilege. Like I accept this one, I am against of this one. You don't have that privilege, especially when you are what? In rural areas because of educational level and so on. You don't have that privilege. So what you can do is what? You will do your best underground, silently. What they do is what? Silently, they what? Try to push it. What is a surprising point is here what? Even the penal code of Ethiopia is what? Accepted the polygamous family structure. Because the constitution of Ethiopia gives recognition for what? For diversity of what? Religion. So religion has its own practice. So one of the practices here in the study area is what? Polygamous family structure. So it is not illegal. So the women, they can't go to what? The police station and sue their husband. They can't do that. So the women, what they are using as a strategy is what? Silently, they are holding up what? Their labor. They're holding up their labor. That means, because the main factor here is what? Economic advancement. By the time men see their economy is what? Doing well. And by the time they see they have what? Getting a lot of money. That's when they start what? Additional wives. So women, but as much as possible, they are minimizing their level of production. That's why my topic is what? Concentrated poverty. So their life is depending on what? Purposely, their life is depending on what? Subsistence kind of what? Level of productivity, hand to mouth. It's not, yes, there is environmental challenge, blah, blah, when we see deeply, but there has been a lot of intervention, by the way, to overcome that natural challenge. But you can't see change, by the way, in the study area. People's life is what? Progressing, especially on those, the poor one. Because when you are rich and when a family is rich, the girls also will get what? That impunity. Like the family will be what? A very strong background. So the husband may not take that kind of courage to add wives because he's going to spoil the relationship with what? With the family. But when the girls are coming from the poor family, the husband will have that power and they can manipulate. And the issue of religion also another point. So what they do, women at household levels, what they hold their what? Their labor. Especially at harvest time. They are wasting money, by the way. If you go to that part of Ethiopia, life is like daily, by the way. Especially during harvest time, after selling their coffee, life is really luxurious. They eat whatever they want, blah, blah, finish it. They make sure what? Finishing it. Saving, they don't have saving culture in the study areas because saving can cause them a problem. So it's before me, before I researched this topic, I was like wondering how people are what? Really very free in that study area because I am working also in that area. So life is daily there. Like planning for tomorrow, I am going to do this. They don't have that kind of plan even. So the problem is associated when you deeply investigate it. The problem is what? Related with what? With the polygamous nature of what? The family structure. Okay, because we cannot, this is also another testimony from one of the women participants in my in-depth interview, because we cannot stop polygamy by saying no to our husbands. We don't save much money and build more wealth just to keep our husband from marrying another woman. We are taking this action because nobody wants to offer their girls to a destitute man, you see? So when they ask, by the arranged kind of marriage is very common in the study area. A husband can ask for marriage, a family, for a girl. So family looks into what? The future of what? Their children. When she goes to what? In that families. When she go away with marriage to that family, what will be because they will sit down and what? Analyze. So when they see, by the time they see he's not doing well in terms of economy, they may not allow that marriage. So that is the first wife, the wife which is at home. That is a strategy of what? Removing that background for the polygamous nature of the family structure. So what is the consequence of this? Saving become low. Saving is what? A seed for what? For investment. For rural areas, to buy agricultural input, to shock all natural social problems and to protect their productivity. Saving is a base. Saving is a base actually for whether we are rural or in urban areas. If you are what? Removing that, falling back, life becomes what? Very vulnerable. So they don't have what? Backfall. Okay, at personal level, they don't have. But as I told you, we have a Ubuntu culture. There is support network between the communities. Yes, they can take over. I mean, they can overcome a given challenge. But as household, what is the status of what? That family. To shock different kinds of what? Challenge. Maybe it depends also the magnitude of the problem. The community may not go up to the end in helping me because the same community also are exposed for what? For the same kind of what? Climate change, the same kinds of problem. Unless otherwise what? There is individual problems, sickness, losing a member of a family. But if it comes, if it is what? If it's something common for all, it is very hard to take care of that kind of challenge. So the impact of polygamy in terms of food security, we can see it in terms of two aspects. In the short run, women can be, not only the woman, the household can be exposed for what? For mild kind of food security. We defined already what does mean mild kind of food insecurity. You have today what to eat, but you are not sure about tomorrow. You cannot plan, you cannot progress. The problem is what? Progressing, regularity, having enough food, enough quality and quantity. That will be, it will be at risk. Okay, so just like what? Giving everything tomorrow for God and today finishing everything. So it has it has very problematic approach. It exposed their what? Well-being. It put at risk their well-being. So the study area is what? One of the hot spot, by the way, for what? For malnutrition. Okay, at federal level, there are some districts which is what? Listed under what? Hotspots for malnourishment. This one, that meta district is what? One of it. So when you see there is what? Aspect of what? In addition to another factors, polygamy also, social aspect, cultural aspect also has its own contribution. When we talk about sustainable livelihood framework, according to Mensah, 2011, he explained sustainable framework in terms of three factors, in terms of capacity, equity, and sustainability. What's capacity? Capacity, what? Access to what? Resources. Now, women are what? Denied of that because their resources was depleting because of what? Polygamy. So women are facing challenge. On top of that, their strategy of what? Reducing the challenge is also exposing for what? For more challenge. So in terms of capability, sustainability livelihood is what? At risk in the study areas. When we talk about equity, it's what? Equitable kind of what? Quality life. Now quality life is at risk because if a community are not in a position to secure their food, what kind of quality life are we talking about? Sustainability also, as I mentioned, they have very wonderful cash crop, which is coffee. But if they don't plan, if they don't budget very well, okay, they are still exposed for what? For problems. We are on the changing era, environment is changing. It's not the way it used to be. We have to follow up, we have to plan. There is no initiation. That initiation is not there, the problem. Following up the change, then what? Give response for that change, increasing productivity. It is not there. Just like hesitance. What made them? They made them what? The culture itself made them to be like that. So, in general, another major problem is what? For long term, they are risking. Polygamous is risking the future generation of what? That study area. How? Because as I mentioned in my background, marriage and having many children is what? It's prestigious in the study area. Imagine a husband has 4 wives, more than 1 wife, let's say only, okay, 2. These 2 of them, they can compete even what? In giving birth more to what? To more children. If this one is pregnant, this one also become pregnant. So the minimum number of children in that area is what? I can say like 4, 5, but it can go up to 10 also. There is competition. So they are risking because now, because in the study area, land pass through. Land in Ethiopia, actually, it belongs to what? To the government. But from generation to generation, it passed through what? Inheritance. So imagine now I am dividing the small land I have for what? For my 8 children. From the 2 family, it can go beyond like 12 children, blah, blah. I am the husband is what? Dividing. The father is what? Dividing the land. So each of them, they get very fragmented land. So for the plan we are thinking about under SDG, under the Africa we want in Agenda 2063, it's very hard to attain, to achieve those goals. So yes, in the long run, there must be some revision on the law, especially on the penal code. There must be revision. Women's consent must be requested. Yes, it is a religion, but they don't want it. So how to accommodate women needs about that issue? Also another long way to go, long struggle, because religious is very sensitive issue in Ethiopian context. The women themselves, they can protest without knowing it is harm. So it needs a lot of sensitization. Now in the study area, one of a lot of NGOs which is working is that my study areas. But when we see life change, it is not there. That means they don't want to change. They don't want to change unless otherwise we empower the woman and take control of their life. Ensures them ownership over ownership over land. Without ensuring that, women cannot, at household level, life can't be changed. So this is one of the input of my finding. As I mentioned before, my study is all about women farmers empowerment. So I am basing my study on a certain project, how it was helping them to be empowered. So I don't want to go there because it's not the scope of my presentation, but I want you to know that culture, people's way of life can also expose them for food insecurity. So development project has to look into what is the cause. Yes, there have been, by the way, a lot of projects, just to improve the society's life, but it was not successful. Why? Because it was not based on based on the culture, looking into it and what kind of mechanism must be done so that the community to overcome that cultural norms, which is challenging their livelihood. Actually, I didn't come across with any kind of initiative to overcome polygamy, but there was initiative to ensure women's economic participation. By the way, in our article, in our constitution, we have a women's section, by the way, which is Article 35. It talks about everything like economic, social, political empowerment of women. But it is like the matter of the matter or the issue is breaking down to the context, because each society has its own social problems in terms of gender. So that breaking down to the demand of the society is that is the gap. We have constitution which is focusing on women. We have women's policy. By the way, we adopted much of international convention like CEDAW. Ethiopia is one of the signatories. Beijing Platform for Action, Ethiopia is one of the signatories. But when it comes to practice, there is implementation problem. And also, actually, it is also commitment, by the way, because the problem is at grassroots level. Even if at top level they sign and they show initiation, unless otherwise they translate it to implementation, it's a problem. But now the case, my research, as I mentioned before, it is focusing on a project called GROW project. That GROW project, it took a very good initiative, sensitizing both men and women about the negative impact of polygamy, the negative impact of polygamy. Yes, you have a right. Men, you can go start another wife. But this is a problem. You are risking your children. For women also, yes, you are your religion was allowing your husband to go for more wife. But for your strategy, what you are implementing is it is damaging. Rather than doing that, focus on yourself, be empowered. Physical empowerment psychological empowerment. You transform. When you are transformed, because no man lives what? A better woman, a good woman, in terms of many aspects. So don't try to go to that extreme end and what? Make yourself poor, but just give a chance for yourself to what? To be what? Empowered. And also, by the way, it makes them sensitize about their constitutional right. They didn't know. They have what? They have ownership over what the land, because there is what? There is a proclamation that gives right for women at household level in their marriage. They have what? Equal rights. Even on the land certificate, there is both husband and wife names. But the issue was what? There was lack of sensitization. So now this NGO comes in with that sensitization. If your name is in that land title, it is yours. Husband alone can't what? Yes, he got it from what? From his family, but land belongs to states in Ethiopia. It's not no one's, it is what? For the whole public. As long as you occupy it, it is yours. Use right, actually. You have use right. Use that use right. Don't hold your what? Productivity. Produce more, generate more money, take care of yourself. By the way, because me, I'm just iceberg. I'm presenting the iceberg. The project has what? That component of what? Sensitizing, like uplifting their psychologies, physically also. They were so demoralized. A very beautiful woman, when she gets into that marriage, she depreciates. Now they also transform, because it's a nutrition project, by the way. GROW is a nutrition project. They taught them how to eat, how to prepare nutritious food. They taught them how to produce what? Vegetable. How to they gave them seedlings for what? For fruits, avocado, apple. They start produce. The first motive is what? First you eat. When it is surplus, that's when you are going to sell it. So now I'm recommending with my PhD project that such kind of things must be what? Multiplied. We have law, by the way, to take initiative, let me tell you. Maybe in 1993 to have what? Women's policy, maybe what? The pioneers. By the way, it is a pioneer. Literature is saying that. But still, the problem, women's problem is what? Rampant. So at project level, there is initiations you can mention here and there. But like campaign, like nationwide, no, because the constitution also allow on another hand also what? Freedom of what? Religion. One of the practice of religion is what? Polygamy. So now developmentalist has to go behind and what? They have to tell them the land is yours. Yes, he can marry. He can marry, but where does he get land? That is now the initiative. Thank you very much. Yeah, Claudia, it is as you said. It's what? It is integrated, by the way. It is the issue of what? Increasing self-concept, increasing your awareness, their awareness about their rights. Imagine, on paper they have rights, but in practice they are denied. So it's a matter of what? Changing the clock, changing the direction. You see, showing them, look here, you have ABCD. And also, by the way, to tell also for men, you see, it is a loss. At the end of the day, it is a loss because resource will be depleted. The children that that household produce may not have good life. So it's what? Thinking aloud, thinking out of the box, and demanding better life, quality life. So showing them quality life is what? ABCD. It is not like what? Just eating hand to mouth. No. Okay, now showing them where the world is what? Reaching. So that lets them what? To cope up. By the way, community can change. The problem is what? Our approach. Most of the time it is what? We have top-down approach. We come up with some ideas, then what? We try to import, but it doesn't work at the end of the day, the challenge. So we have to make it top-down. We have to understand our communities. Seeing their challenge, read between the lines. Okay, so this project is really, really very innovative. GROW for Ethiopian context, because GROW is international project, by the way. So GROW in Ethiopia is what? It has its own uniqueness, because depending on what? The contextual problem. So I appreciate this project a lot. Yes, it has some challenge, finding my research, finding out some research, and I recommend it also for further improvement in case they implement it in other parts of Ethiopia, in another part of the world also, like in Global South. It will be really very important. Yes, they can come in like there is different kind of development approach. Like there is women in development approach, women in development approach, and gender in development approach. I really, my greatest appreciation for this project is what it is embedded on gender and development approach, like making men also what an ally of what for the change of women's life. Because when a project is changing women's life, the family's life also automatically will be changed. So they have to push in that. Okay, we have to shift from, because it is more of the projects are what women in development kinds of approach, like injecting some amount of money, whether ensuring women have what access over what that money. Like welfare approach, like teaching them about what family planning. They don't have right over what their reproductive right. So we have to know which. So in that aspect, the activist comes in. Yes, for African, as an African woman also, I believe in family. Like it's not like disintegrating, blah, blah, only teaching her right and leaving the man. No, both of them has to come on board. And we have to teach them how to preserve their family with respecting each other. Because the framework, the legal framework is what? Favorable for that. So in that aspect, in teaching them, bringing on board men, because when we leave men also, it is a chaos. It's a chaos. So we have to bring on board, we have to participate also the community. You know, this Ubuntu in Ethiopia, mother-in-laws has a very powerful role in their children what marriage. So this project bring on board also what those in-laws. You see, religious leaders, because they are Muslims. Like we have to teach them, yes, the religion, but really the religions. What is the parameter to start that kind of family structure? So what does the Quran really saying so about what? Because there is what imbalance. Just looking on what polygamy, even forgetting about the basic requirements, what the religions order. So it tried to bring on board every stakeholders and try to make a change.